He's watching the boards, the bags in the air. Quarter pocket dreams, he's got that stare. Stats and rankings, his name's on the rise. Cornhole legend, see the fire in his eyes. He's the Cobbler, the cornhole king. Flick of the wrist makes the whole crowd sing. Steady precision, no room for flair. The bags hit home while the haters just glare. Grip on the sack like a surgeon's hand. If you step into it, better change your plan.
Welcome back, Delaware Cornhole, with another week with the Cornhole Cobbler. I am your host, AJ DeSantis. Before I continue, quick shout out, Chris Rapicelli, Crown Homes Real Estate. Him and his team will get you set up with the home of your dreams if you're looking in Pennsylvania, Delaware, or Maryland. All right, this week I have the owner of Delaware Cornhole, Mike Napier, back on. And we're going to recap Dover. We're going to talk a little bit about this next executive season. And then we also have some other future events that are coming up that he's going to touch on as well. So this is a good rundown. I tried to give out some shout outs to some of the winners in the lower brackets. I do have a top 10 from the weekend. It's taken me a little bit to get it filled. That is coming though. And then, yeah, I hope you enjoy. Guys, I'll see you around the boards. And lock, load, aim, and fire. Welcome back, Delaware Cornhole. I am here with our owner, Mike Napier. And we are shortly after Dover Downs. So this is hopefully going to be a recap of Dupler Downs and some of the upcoming events that we're going to be having in the future. So, Mike, what were your thoughts on Dupler Downs?
So, I thought Dover Downs went pretty good. Outside of a little delay on Saturday, which I'm my biggest critic. I think with that many people and that many boards, Dover Downs went awesome. I can't be happier. We will switch up some things for next year for sure. I learned a few things we need to tweak. Round robins in big tournaments are just going to be tough to come by anymore. We had 485 players, which 500 is probably the number there at most. We lost a lot of people to alcohol and gambling throughout the weekend. So,
Yeah,
which is fine, but that kept them numbers a little lower in certain tournaments. But now, all in all, I think it was success, and I'm not gonna pick on the little things that I could fix, but no, it was good.
how much overall did you pay out?
We paid out just under 29,000, which was about 4,900 more than last year.
Which is evident that we are continuing to grow. But as we are continuing to grow, you just had Logan Dupler go 5 for 5, losing one match on the entire weekend. While that's awesome, is it really?
So the difference between Dover Downs and Paradise Grill is Dover Downs is always going to be that weekend before St. Patty's Day. That's just the week that they have. That's the week that's convenient for them, and we're kind of at their mercy. It's a big place, obviously. So there's an open every weekend that weekend. Last year was West Virginia, which was 2.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
This year was Louisiana. I can't get a straight answer from the ACL, but we both had around 485 players for the weekend, give or take. So we were right there. We were the same size as the Open. Now the Open probably had 80 sets of boards. We had 36. Take that how you want, but so we were the size of an Open this weekend, but 90% of the pros were in Louisiana. So, like, we didn't get Devin, we didn't get Ryan, we didn't get all the players that would normally come up for a big event.
Right.
Obviously, Logan was the best player in the room. I mean, that's not even a question. There were other pros there. You know, we saw Juwan, we saw Justin, we saw Austin, who played with Logan. So there was people there that could challenge Logan, but he's a top 10, 15 pro probably. You guys know better than me at this point, but he's up there. I mean, he can beat anyone in the world any given time. So that's the difference between Paradise and Dover. Paradise comes, we are the only game in town that weekend. Yes. Every pro that wants to play in a big tournament that weekend's there, obviously. So yeah, I mean, when you have hands down the best player in the room, he's probably going to win every single tournament that he plays in, which he did. I will tell you, he's a director's best friend. He is the fastest player I have ever seen in my entire life, which I'm always in a hurry when I play. He makes me look like I'm slow, which is impossible.
Well, he can't drink.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. But he can move a bracket along like I've never seen, and I was very grateful for. So thank you, Luke.
For someone like me, though, I don't want to weekly go up against Dupler. But when I only ever see him randomly, yes, I want to see where I stand, where I'm at in my own game compared to where the game is at. That's kind of exciting. But you're right. I wouldn't want to play him every friggin' event.
No, it's a challenge. Like, I don't know the answer, right? So and I can argue every side, all sides, right? You're going to have the group of people that don't want to ever play him again, right? But then again, if he's the best player, he should be winning all the money, right? So we can go both ways. Now, I don't want anyone. I mean, we had 20 events with, there was 4 and 5 divisions in some batches of events. So it's not like everybody was funding Logan Dupler, right? The majority of players in that room were not funding Logan Dupler. Right. So that's a positive you could take from that.
So the difference between Dover and Paradise is a single tournament where it is a party first atmosphere.
Right, for sure.
So regardless of how many pros sign up, the locals flock to it, and it's not because we think we're going to win. It's where do we stack up? Let's have a beer with these guys. So at Dover, you're going down to see where you stand and try to win as many tournaments as you can.
I will say, and I should have summarized this somewhere, but so while you had Logan go 5 for 5, you had players that were hanging out in the 14 cap social intermediate range that made almost as much money as Logan.
No kidding.
So, like, you have Scott Wagner, who won social intermediate blind draw, and he won tier 2 BYOP. And I mean, he still made almost $1,000, from just those 2 tournaments. Yeah. So, there's a player that, and this is why I love Dover, because I will tell you that in all the tournaments we run, in all the stuff we do now, Black Friday at MBN was good. I handed out some money to people that wouldn't normally get it. But what I love about Dover is you hand somebody $1,200 in a 14 cap. That's pretty good. I mean, that's basically intermediate, maybe close to competitive. And that's just amounts of money you're never going to win anywhere else. In those, and that includes, ACL tournaments. That includes, they're not even giving out money in those divisions anymore at Open. So
who else in your eyes were some of the standouts?
I mean, Storm and Leaper would have had themselves a weekend if Dupler wasn't there. Yeah. I mean, poor Leaper. I looked at him at one point in singles. I don't know where he finished, and I didn't save that because he didn't finish in the top. Yeah, but I think he's throwing like a 10 and like 1 and 2 or something. Like I don't even know. Because you got Austin. Let's not forget about Austin. I mean, I know that he's playing with Dupler, but Austin gave Dupler his only loss of the week. So I'll give you another one. Let's not forget about Frankie Elliott, not Franklin, not Frank. Frankie Elliott, him and Paul. I mean, I know it's crazy, but that switch win on Friday night, that's a field right there.
Yeah.
Like, there was some great players. I mean, 120. What do we got? 112 players. Sorry, because everybody, of course, drifted wherever they drifted to. But 112 players, that was a tough field.
What? I guess you already spoke about some of the changes that you wanted for next year. Um, well, anything left to add for Dover before we get into our next couple topics here?
Biggest things I took away from Dover. Shout out to Joe Harsh, by the way, who kept me in line. Joe's getting to the point. I think you all know I love Drew. Drew's my guy. Me and Drew can run tournaments with our eyes closed, and I don't even have to talk to him for the whole tournament, which is awesome. But me and Joe are getting there. But so a few things we're going to do different. One, we're going to figure out how to check in everybody ahead of time. We're going to have stations set up. We'll take shifts where we let you pay for all your events so I can do self check-in just like Paradise, just like League Night. No more of the lines. We're still going to have some lines because some people make last-minute decisions. We're going to get rid of those lines. Obviously, we need cash because we got to pay Dover. So that's, and then we got to have cash payout. So it's like a catch-22.
Right.
But 34 and 35, or 35 and 36 boards gone. Gone. More room to sit, more room to put your chairs, and they just can't happen. Like, I know people are getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And while I wanted to yell at some people walking in front of the boards, I get it. We'll make that center island where the score towers are wider because we'll get rid of that. I got to find a sweet spot for caps. We've been discussing, and I got to see what this looks like. I know it's big in pool, but Calcutta's, especially when you have somebody like Logan in the pool, you can take Logan or you can take the field, right? So that'll look a little different. I think we will have more pros next year. They saw what the weekend looked like. Obviously, I have no idea what Open's going to be next year at that time.
Go up against,
I will never do more than 4 events at a time at Dover. I think we had 5. We had a 9 event overlap at one point on Saturday, which was, as you can imagine, crazy.
Yes.
It's the only time probably in a long time that I wouldn't call myself overwhelmed, but I looked out at that line checking in, and I looked at the 9 tournaments going on at one time or about to go on, and I was like, okay, we can't do this. Obviously we can handle it, but it was challenging.
Organized chaos.
Yes. So we'll look at that. I think singles being on Sunday worked out phenomenally, and it worked out exactly how I wanted it to. Now, mind you, we lost 2/3 of our players signed up, but I didn't wake up to 100 messages trying to find a partner. Right. So if you wanted to go home, go home. Like, I'm not mad at you. I get it. You're hungover, you're drunk, you're tired, your arm's falling off. Whatever's wrong with you is fine. But you didn't screw your partner. So that's why I think that actually worked out great. We were out by 5. I was dead. Everybody was dead that was left. They were some dedicated soldiers. They were playing until 5 o'clock on Sunday. But that worked out good. I probably won't change that. Because singles, as you know, while it's great to measure yourself in singles, it just is a way to mess up a day. So if we can just leave that on Sunday and people want to play, they play. They don't want to play. Don't want to play, don't play, whatever. Worked out great. That was the best part of that. So, yeah.
Executive is getting ready to end.
Yep.
What's next?
So, if we can think back to last year, we tried to run a spring/summer league at Executive. It's just not in the cards. A lot of our people have beach houses. A lot of our people go down to the beach once it starts getting nice. I got a special guest here coming to interrupt me. So basically, you got proms all May. It's just a recipe for disaster. We'd be missing 10 to 15 teams a week. We were paying a lot of money at the bar, which we weren't making up anywhere because everybody was leaving. Nobody's playing Switch, yada, yada, yada. So with that said, I'm not going to put us through that again. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate between Etna, Minquist, NBN, maybe even some other special guest locations. I think we're going to do that BYOP that we did a few years ago that was very successful, where we swap partners. If you get in the top 3, can't play with the same partner. Helps people. It's the point of the caps. I know we've lost track of what the caps were, but the point of these are to get new partners, play with people you wouldn't normally play with,
Right.
warm up to somebody you wouldn't normally talk to. And that was very successful because it's nice. You win, can't play with somebody else that won. And
Right.
It really starts to spread out the podium. It challenges some of our better shooters. If I remember, even with that format, people like Tony Brewer, Timmers, they were still on the podium, if not winning 7 out of 8 weeks or 8 out of 9 weeks or whatever it was. So it definitely doesn't hurt the better shooters, but it does bring some others to the podium. I think they probably even drugged me to the podium once or twice back then. I don't know. But we will rotate between the 3. We'll keep it in the BYOP format one way or another, just because like this week we're at Minquist on Thursday night. Just standard cap tournaments, bring BYOP. I don't want to alienate the league only players that feel good about playing with our buddy. But it does give them an opportunity to play with someone else too. So Thursdays aren't going anywhere. We're back in September at Executive, of course, which will be one of our bigger leagues of the year. But I didn't want to mess up, to have a repeat of last year, I should say.
Yeah,
so
last year was rough just because
it was
of the
rough.
amount of weeks off.
Yes. And I mean, we're kind of in that same boat right now. We're getting a taste of it. We're off the next 2 weeks at Executive, this Thursday and next Thursday. Then we're in playoffs, which I announced at the beginning of the year. Playoffs were April 3rd, no matter what, because I did not want. I had Dover Downs Thursday built in and a snow day built in. Of course, we had to do Dover Downs, which was not a good night as Executive because everybody left. So there's an example of what happens when you lose too many teams at one time. So Thursdays will be cooking. It'll just be different places.
All right, understood. So there are 2 major ACL events that you have left to do.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about states and interstate?
So interstate will definitely be at MBN because that's a big facility. It can handle it. I got to finalize the date with him. We were just chatting today while we are there at MBN about it. He's going to let me know for sure. That weekend, I'll probably run a regional as well for people that are there.
And you're talking April, right?
This is April, yeah. I try to wrap up everything by May. So April's going to be a busy month for me because that's it. Like, we're going to be done. I'm going to schedule this and we're going to be wrapped up. Now, states are going to be in April as well. So what I have to determine is it'll probably be one or the other of the weekend. Of course, we're still in the point where states are states. It's only Delaware people. Also, on that note, May, it's near you. The Battleship.
Oh,
There's the teams event.
I believe it's May 9th.
So that's a little more flexible, even though it's, Delaware Cornhole versus Keystone Cornhole versus all the other groups. Obviously, if you're in Delaware Cornhole, then you can play, right? So, like, you're Delaware Cornhole, right? So, Sissy's Delaware Cornhole, right? So, Tony Brewer's Delaware Cornhole. So, whoever wants to play in that, I'll build a team for that. I won't be there. I think Cobbler is going to step up and be our captain. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I just didn't understand the team. How many were on the team? And
I think it's 4 per grouping, and there's 5 groups. I'm pretty sure, and I should know that. Joe will kill me because I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't.
Look, do you have anything else you would like to add?
No, I mean, we're pretty, and I'm pretty open about this, but as we move to the summer schedule, obviously the next 6 weeks, I will keep at it on weekends. We are going to have to, we had a fundraiser scheduled for this Saturday. We're going to have to cancel. We're starting to get to that point of the year where it's tough on the weekends. Mm-hmm. I'll keep these Sunday fun days going as long as we get people turning out for them. I think today we had 37 or 38 teams, which is the least amount we've had yet. Now, it is a bad weekend, St. Patty's weekend and all that good stuff. We just played last weekend. I get it. So I'll keep them going in between the interstate event, and I got to run a couple regionals at some point here to wrap up the year. But once summer schedule comes, obviously we got Minquist starting April 2nd. If you want to play in the traditional league format, you better get signed up, because I'm not taking more people than I capped it at, because we got 68 teams there right now, and it's chaos. Yeah. I mean, we make it work. We're getting out by 11 after blind draw, but it's chaos. So get signed up if you want a traditional league. Birdies, we may move to another night for the summertime instead of Mondays, just to get a little more traction there, give somebody another option to play. So that's to be determined, but we may do that.
I mean, technically, you could go Thursday night.
So we may. So that may happen. Now, I know that's more of a southern location. That's pretty far in southern Middletown, but that league can probably take 36 teams, maybe 40. So it wouldn't be a traditional Thursday night league, but we may do that. Yeah. That's in the works. Because, again, the other format's going to draw enough people that it's not going to interfere with it. But other than that, yeah, it'll be Wednesday nights and Paradise Prep here after the next month or so. So everybody else that wants to run tournaments on the weekends, have at it. Good luck. Right. I will say, with that being said, Rich Clare will be running some weekend tournaments. So we won't completely abandon you. Plus, I got the fundraisers at the beach. March 17th is Paradise Warm-Up.
Okay.
If you were there last year, remember, 17th. Or May 17th. Sorry, May 17th. Top 4 teams got free entry into Paradise. Of course, that guarantees your spot. I want to say payouts were somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,000 for that one last year. I got to look back. It rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained, but we made it work. We were underneath the tent for the most part, so that worked out. But look for that registration soon, because that also will be capped. At most, there will be 64 teams. I got to look at it, and that's just the warm up. It's not quite the same. Pros, there'll be a few pros, but it's not like the big event.
Right.
That's pretty much it on that thing.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let these guys go at home, and Delaware Cornhole, thank you for checking us out this week. We will be back next week with Chavis. Should be a good one for you. So lock, load, aim, fire. I'll see you on the boards. Have a good night.